tax benefits. Now I don't want it to be fake anymore. Jasper suggested the marriage on a Wednesday night while we were assembling cheap furniture from IKEA in our cramped Seattle apartment. He was holding an Allen wrench and squinting at instructions written in 5 languages when he said, "What if we got married for the tax break? We'd save like $8,000 this year." I almost dropped the wooden panel I was holding because that's exactly the kind of practical chaos Jasper brought into every situation. We'd been roommates for 18 months, splitting a 2-bedroom place in Capitol Hill that cost more than my car payment and student loans combined. He worked as a freelance graphic designer from the living room. I managed social media for a startup downtown. We were both broke, both drowning in debt, both single enough that marriage seemed like a business decision instead of a romantic one. I looked at him sitting cross-legged on our floor, surrounded by furniture parts and his messy hair falling into his eyes, and thought, why the hell not? We spent the next 3 hours researching tax codes on our phones while the half-assembled bookshelf sat forgotten between us. The actual wedding happened on a Friday morning at the courthouse with his coworker Daphne and my friend Quinn as witnesses. I wore a navy dress I already owned. Jasper showed up in khakis and a button-down shirt that still had the fold lines visible. The clerk who married us had done 6 other weddings that morning and treated ours with the same efficient boredom she probably gave everyone else. We exchanged rings we'd bought from a vintage shop for $30 total, said our legally required vows, and signed papers that made us officially married in the eyes of the government. Quinn took photos on her phone that looked more like documentation than celebration. Afterward, we went to a diner and split pancakes while filling out change of address forms for our banks and insurance companies. Jasper joked about finally making an honest woman out of me, and I threw a wadded up napkin at his face. Everything felt exactly the same as it had the day before, except now we had legal documents saying we were married. Living together as a married couple wasn't different from living together as roommates, at least not at first. We still split bills exactly down the middle, still took turns buying groceries and cleaning the bathroom. Jasper still left his coffee mugs all over the apartment, and I still forgot to check if we had toilet paper before using the last roll. We filed our taxes jointly that April and celebrated when the refund came through, bigger than either of us had ever gotten alone. We used the money to finally replace our dying washing machine and took ourselves out to an expensive dinner where we ordered dessert just because we could afford it. The waiter assumed we were celebrating an anniversary and brought us complimentary champagne. We didn't correct him, just clinked our glasses together and drank to successful fraud, though technically what we'd done was completely legal if ethically questionable. That night felt like winning something neither of us had quite understood we were playing for. 6 months into our legal marriage, Jasper's mom called asking to meet his wife. He'd told his family about getting married but kept it vague, letting them assume it was a real relationship instead of a tax shelter. His mom, Lorraine, was flying up from Portland for the weekend and wanted to take us to dinner. Jasper panicked for 3 days before her visit, cleaning the apartment more thoroughly than I'd ever seen him clean anything. He asked if I'd be okay pretending we were actually in love, making it sound like he was asking me to help him move furniture instead of perform affection. I said sure, I can fake being married to you, which made him laugh until he realized I wasn't entirely joking. We spent the afternoon before dinner establishing our fake love story. We'd met through mutual friends, dated for 8 months before getting married in a small ceremony because we both hated big weddings. Simple, believable, mostly true except for the dating and love parts. Dinner was at an Italian place downtown where everything cost twice what I'd normally spend on a meal. Lorraine asked questions about our relationship while Jasper and I performed casual intimacy we'd never practiced before. He put his hand on my knee under the table. I leaned into his shoulder while laughing at his stories. We traded bites of our entrees and finished each other's sentences like we'd rehearsed it, except we hadn't rehearsed anything. Over dessert, she asked how we knew we wanted to get married, and Jasper said something about knowing when you know, which was meaningless enough to sound profound. I added that Jasper made me laugh every day, which was actually true even if the rest of our story wasn't. Lorraine smiled and said she could see how happy we made each other, and the lie felt so close to something real that I had to look away. After she left for her hotel, Jasper and I walked home in silence, his hand still holding mine because we'd forgotten to stop pretending. And that's when I realized our fake marriage was becoming something I couldn't pretend about anymore. The rest of the story is linked below or on my channel.